Sarah had always imagined her life in Liverpool as a dream come true. She was a successful businesswoman, known for her ability to lead her company with a firm hand and a clear vision. Her home, a cozy villa on the outskirts of the city, reflected her success and dedication. There she lived with her husband Mario and their son Lucas, an 18-year-old young man full of energy and creativity. Every morning, Sarah would wake up early, enjoying the soft glow of the Mediterranean sun that illuminated her room. After a brief workout and a healthy breakfast, she would get ready for another busy day at the office. Her company, located in the heart of Liverpool's financial district, was a testament to her achievements. Despite her busy schedule, she always made time for Lucas. They spent weekends exploring the city, strolling along the beach, or simply enjoying a good movie at home. However, in recent weeks, Sarah had noticed something strange. Every night, an unusual fatigue would engulf her, accompanied by a dry cough that wouldn't go away. At first, she attributed these symptoms to work stress. "It's just a phase," she told herself, trying to downplay her concern. But as the days went by, the situation worsened. Small, everyday tasks like climbing stairs or carrying groceries became real challenges. In addition, she had lost her appetite, and a constant pain in her chest tormented her. One morning, after feeling her energy drain faster than usual, Sarah decided she could no longer ignore the symptoms. She said goodbye to Mario and Lucas with a calm smile, but inside, anxiety was growing. "Today I'm going to see the doctor," she thought as she headed to the office. The wait in the reception area was interminable, her mind jumping from one thought to another, trying to find a logical explanation for her discomfort. Dr. Francisco, her family doctor, greeted her with a professional but concerned smile. After a series of questions and a thorough physical exam, he ordered several tests and X-rays. "Sarah, I want you to take this seriously," he said gravely. "There's something we need to investigate further. I'm going to refer you to an oncology specialist. Dr. Rodriguez is one of the best. He'll explain the next steps." Sarah's world stopped at that moment. Sitting across from Dr. Gonzalez, she felt as if time had slowed down. The words, "oncology specialist," echoed in her mind, filling her with a silent terror. "It can't be that serious," she told herself, but the look in the doctor's eyes said otherwise. Days later, Sarah was in Dr. Francisco's waiting room. The atmosphere was solemn, the air heavy with anticipation and fear. When they finally called her, she entered the office feeling her legs tremble. Dr. Francisco, a middle-aged man with kind eyes, greeted her with a mixture of professionalism and empathy. After reviewing the test results, he began to speak. "Sarah, the tests have shown that you have advanced-stage lung cancer. I know this is difficult to hear, but I want you to know that we are here to help you every step of the way." The doctor's words fell on her like a slab. Disbelief and fear mingled in her mind. "How is that possible? I've always taken care of my health," she murmured, feeling the ground vanish beneath her feet. Dr. Francisco continued, his calm voice trying to instill some hope. "I know it's a blow, but there are treatments available. Medicine has come a long way, and we have options that can help you. We're going to fight this together." Sarah left the office with a mixture of fear and determination. When she got home, she found Mario and Lucas in the living room, waiting with worried faces. The tension in the air was palpable. Sarah took a breath and sat down in front of them. "I have something to tell you," she began, trying to keep her voice steady. Mario approached, taking her hand with concern. "What is it, Sarah?" "The doctor confirmed that I have advanced lung cancer. I need to start treatment immediately." The silence that followed was heavy and painful. Mario squeezed her hand tighter, his eyes filled with restrained tears. "We'll be with you every step of the way, Sarah," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "You're not alone." Lucas, sitting on the edge of the sofa, stared at the floor. Finally, he looked up and, in a broken but determined voice, said, "Mom, we're going to get through this. I'll do whatever I can to help you." Sarah felt a mixture of relief and sadness. She knew this battle would be difficult, but with her family by her side, she felt a little stronger. "Thank you, really. We're going to need to be strong and united." Determined to face the illness, Sarah began her treatment immediately. Chemotherapy, with its debilitating side effects, became part of her routine. Mario and Lucas vowed to support her every step of the way. Mario was in charge of administering the medications and taking her to medical appointments, while Lucas, with his youth and energy, took care of preparing meals appropriate for the changes in his mother's appetite. The first few days were difficult but manageable. Mario kept a strict schedule, making sure that each dose of medication was taken on time and that each appointment was met. Lucas, although young, showed unexpected maturity, assuming responsibility for the kitchen and adapting recipes to meet his mother's nutritional needs. "Don't worry, Mom. Today I made a soup that I know you're going to like," he would say with a smile, trying to inject some normalcy into an abnormal situation. However, over time, the tension began to mount. Long, sleepless nights, constant hospital visits, and emotional wear and tear began to take their toll. Mario, once always optimistic and strong, began to show signs of fatigue. His patience was wearing thin, and arguments with Lucas were becoming more frequent. "I don't understand why you can't do this right," Mario would snap, his voice thick with frustration. Lucas, in turn, felt the weight of the situation and often locked himself in his room to avoid confrontations. One night, as they were getting ready for one of the medical appointments, Mario collapsed on the couch, exhausted. Sarah, watching the scene, felt a pang of guilt. "Mario, are you all right?" she asked, though she knew the answer. Mario looked up, his eyes showing a mixture of weariness and despair. "Sarah, I'm trying, but it's a lot. I don't know how much longer I can go on like this," he admitted, his voice cracking. Sarah went to him, taking his hands in hers. "I know, Mario. It's not easy for any of us. But we need to find a way to manage this together without destroying ourselves in the process." Mario nodded, but the weariness in his eyes spoke of a deeper fatigue, one that would not be easily alleviated. The situation came to a head one morning when Sarah was due for a chemotherapy session. As she got ready to leave, she called out to Mario, who was upstairs. "Mario, could you take me to the hospital?" His response was a mumble from the bedroom, full of exhaustion. "Sarah, I can't today. I'm too exhausted. Take a taxi, please." The words fell like a bucket of cold water. Sarah felt a deep sadness and loneliness, but she said nothing. "It's okay, Mario. Get some rest," she replied calmly, hiding her disappointment. In the taxi, as she headed to the hospital, Sarah couldn't stop her thoughts from flooding her. Am I asking too much? Have I become a burden to them? Upon arriving at the hospital, she tried to maintain her composure, but the weight of her situation was undeniable. That night, after returning from the hospital, Sarah decided it was time to talk openly with Mario and Lucas. "We need to talk," she said, gathering them in the living room. I know this is being very difficult for everyone, and I feel like I'm becoming a burden. I don't want my illness to destroy our family." Mario looked away, unable to meet her gaze. "Sarah, it's not easy. We're doing the best we can, but sometimes I feel like it's not enough. I'm exhausted," he confessed, his voice low and resigned. Lucas, sitting silently, finally broke his silence. "Mom, I want to help you, but sometimes I don't know how. I feel powerless," he admitted, his voice trembling. Sarah, sensing her family's despair, proposed a solution. "I've been thinking, maybe we should hire someone to help us, a professional who can lighten the load a bit, someone who knows how to handle this kind of care." Mario was reluctant, his pride hurt. "We don't need a stranger in our house," he retorted, but Sarah insisted. "This isn't about pride, Mario. It's about surviving this together without breaking." Mario sighed deeply, feeling the weight of the situation on his shoulders. Finally, he nodded in resignation. "All right, Sarah. If you think it's for the best, let's try it." Sarah contacted an agency, and within a few days, Nurse Emily started working with them. Emily was an experienced professional with a calm and empathetic demeanor that quickly earned Sarah's trust. From day one, Emily took on her responsibilities diligently, ensuring that Sarah received the necessary care without overburdening Mario and Lucas. However, Emily's presence was not received in the same way by everyone in the house. Mario, though he had accepted the idea initially, soon began to show signs of discomfort. "I don't feel comfortable with this, Sarah," he said one day as Emily prepared the medications in the kitchen. "Having a stranger in our house, handling our things. I don't like it." Sarah, tired and weakened, tried to remain calm. "Mario, Emily is here to help us. We can't do it all ourselves, especially you. You've been exhausted and we need this help." Mario couldn't contain his frustration. "I don't want to depend on anyone else. We should be able to handle this on our own." The argument escalated, their voices echoing throughout the house. Emily, who had overheard part of the exchange, decided to intervene. "Excuse me for interrupting," she said in a firm but calm voice. "I understand that this is difficult for everyone. I'm here to make things easier, not to cause more stress." Mario looked at her with a mixture of anger and shame. "It's not you, Emily. It's just... This is very personal for us." Emily nodded, understanding the complexity of the situation. "I understand, Mario. I just want you to know that I'm here to help in any way you need. But if my presence is a problem, I can talk to the agency and have them send someone else." Sarah, desperate to keep the help they so desperately needed, tried to mediate. "Please, Mario, let's try to make this work. I need your support in this." But Mario, stubborn in his pride, would not budge. "No, Sarah, this isn't working. I don't want any more fighting in this house. Emily, thank you for everything, but I think it's best if we find another solution." Emily, seeing that her presence was only causing more conflict, decided to withdraw. "I understand. I wish you all the best. If you change your mind, I'll be available." After Emily left, the atmosphere in the house became even more tense. Mario and Lucas tried to resume caregiving responsibilities, but the burden was overwhelming. The arguments between Mario and Sarah became more frequent and more intense. Lucas, caught in the middle of the tension, felt powerless. Finally, one day, Mario made a decision that would change everything. "I can't go on like this, Sarah," he said, his voice cracking. "Diego and I are going to my mother's house for a while. I need some space to think. Sarah, with tears in her eyes, nodded slowly. If that's what you need, Mario, just take care of Lucas. Lucas, though devastated by his father's decision, understood that the tensions were unsustainable. He packed his things silently, giving his mother one last hug before leaving. I love you, Mom. I promise I'll be in touch. Sarah was left alone in the house that had once overflowed with life and laughter. After Mario and Lucas left, loneliness and grief took hold of her heart. Although she tried to maintain a daily routine, each task felt like a reminder of her family's absence. She would wake up early, but the silent house constantly reminded her of how much her life had changed in such a short time. One afternoon, while resting on the sofa, the phone rang. On the other end of the line, a familiar and comforting voice spoke. "Sarah, it's Clara," she said warmly. Clara, her cousin, had always been a source of support and solace. Since they were girls, Sarah and Clara shared a special bond. They grew up together in the same neighborhood, and their childhoods were filled with shared adventures and secrets. Clara vividly remembered the day she nearly drowned in the lake during summer camp. It was Sarah who, without hesitation, jumped into the water and rescued her, saving her life. That experience brought them even closer, creating a debt of gratitude and an unbreakable friendship. "Clara, it's so good to hear your voice," Sarah replied, her eyes welling up with tears. "Things have been difficult." The memories of those happy and safe times contrasted sharply with the harsh reality she now faced. "I know, dear. I've decided to come to Liverpool to be with you. You shouldn't go through this alone," Clara said, her voice full of determination and empathy. She remembered how Sarah had always been the strong one, the protector. Now, it was her turn to return that unconditional support. Clara's words brought a ray of hope into Sarah's life. She fondly remembered the afternoons they played together, running through the fields, laughing without a care in the world. Remembering how Clara had always been there for her, and how, in the darkest of times, her cousin always knew how to make her smile. 2 days later, Clara arrived at Sarah's doorstep, with a suitcase in hand and a smile on her face. "Sarah, I'm here," she simply said, hugging her tightly. Clara's presence was like a balm to Sarah's wounded soul. Through the embrace, Sarah felt the warmth and love that Clara brought with her. She knew that, with her cousin by her side, she would not be alone in this battle. Their shared past and the trials they had overcome together gave them the strength to face whatever lay ahead. From day one, Clara integrated herself into Sarah's daily life, helping her with household chores and accompanying her to medical appointments. The house, which had been so empty and silent, began to fill once again with conversations and laughter. Clara was a strong and determined woman, with a past full of challenges that she had overcome with courage. "I remember when I lost my husband," Clara shared one night as they were having tea in the living room. "It was one of the darkest times of my life. I had to raise my children alone, and there were days when I didn't know how to go on. But I did, one step at a time." Clara's stories resonated deeply with Sarah. Through them, she found a source of inspiration and strength. "You're incredible, Clara. You're incredible, Clara. I don't know how you managed to overcome all that," said Sarah, admiring her cousin's resilience. "It wasn't easy," replied Clara with a sad smile. "But life throws us trials to teach us how strong we really are. And you, Sarah, are one of the strongest women I know." The bond between Sarah and Clara grew stronger with each passing day. They shared not only daily tasks, but also their fears, hopes, and dreams. Clara made sure that Sarah maintained a positive attitude and motivated her to keep fighting. "Let's go for a walk," Clara would often suggest. "The fresh air will do you good." During these walks, they talked about everything and nothing, allowing nature and the tranquility of the surroundings to give them a sense of peace. Sarah began to see life with a new perspective, recognizing that although she was battling a serious illness, she was not alone. One day, while returning from a doctor's appointment, Sarah expressed something she had been keeping in her heart. "Clara, I don't know how to thank you for everything you're doing for me. Your presence has changed my life." "We're family, Sarah. You don't have to thank me. I do it because I love you, and because no one should go through this alone," Clara replied, gently squeezing Sarah's hand. Over time, Sarah's health showed some signs of improvement. Although the battle was far from over, Clara's constant presence and unwavering support gave her the strength she needed to keep going. Clara became her rock, the pillar on which Sarah could lean without fear of falling. One night, while looking at old family photos, Clara shared more about her life. "You know, Sarah, after my husband passed away, I thought I would never be happy again. But my children were my reason for going on. They gave me a purpose, and for them I found a way to rebuild my life." Clara's words resonated in Sarah's heart. "Clara, you've been through so much and come out stronger. You inspire me not to give up. And you, Sarah, inspire me to keep being strong. Your fight reminds me that every day is an opportunity to be brave." The weeks passed, and Sarah, unconditionally supported by Clara, clung to the hope and strength that her cousin provided. However, the reality of her illness remained a constant shadow. One day, on one of her hospital visits, Dr. Francisco gave her news she dreaded hearing. "Sarah, the latest tests show that the cancer has progressed," the doctor said, gravely but compassionately. "I know this is difficult to hear, but I want you to know that we will do everything we can for your comfort." Sarah felt the world crumble around her. Despite her efforts and Clara's support, the disease was advancing relentlessly. With a heavy heart, she decided it was time to inform Mario and Lucas about her situation. She hoped that, knowing how serious it was, they would return to support her in her final moments. That night, sitting in the living room next to Clara, she picked up the phone with trembling hands and dialed Mario's number. The call rang several times before he answered. "Sarah?" Mario said, his voice sounding distant. "Hi, Mario," Sarah began, trying to remain calm. "I need to talk to you about something important." "What is it?" he asked, not showing much interest. "My cancer has gotten worse," Sarah said, feeling like every word was a titanic effort. "The doctor says it's progressing fast. I thought you should know." There was an awkward silence on the other end of the line before Mario responded. "I'm sorry to hear that, Sarah. It's hard to hear, but I don't know what I can do from here." Sarah closed her eyes, fighting back tears. "Mario, I'd really like you and Lucas to come back. I need my family's support." Mario sighed, his tone still cold. "I don't know, Sarah. It's complicated. I'll have to think about it." Discouraged by Mario's lack of empathy, Sarah decided to call Lucas. Upon hearing her son's voice, a wave of emotions washed over her. "Lucas, it's Mum," she said, trying to sound strong. "Mum, how are you?" Lucas replied, his voice sounding warmer than his father's. "I'm not doing well, Lucas. My illness has gotten worse and I miss you very much. I'd like to see you." Lucas was silent for a moment, processing his mother's words. "Mum, I'm so sorry. I didn't know things were so bad. I'll talk to Dad, and we'll see what we can do." After hanging up, Sarah leaned back on the sofa, feeling exhausted. Clara, sitting next to her, offered her a comforting smile. "You did well, Sarah. Now we have to wait and see what they decide." A few days passed, and finally, Lucas called. "Mum, I talked to Dad. We're coming back to Liverpool. We can't leave you alone in this." The news brought a ray of hope to Sarah, although she knew that Mario's attitude would be a challenge. When they arrived, the house was filled with a palpable tension. Mario seemed distant and disconnected, while Lucas, though visibly uncomfortable, showed genuine concern for his mother. The first night together was difficult. Mario and Sarah barely exchanged words, and the atmosphere was heavy with discomfort. Lucas, trying to ease the tension, offered to make dinner. "Mum, would you like something special for dinner?" he asked, trying to bring some normalcy to the situation. "Whatever you make will be fine, Lucas. Thank you," Sarah replied with a weak smile. As the days passed, Mario and Lucas's presence began to have a positive impact. Although Mario remained cold and distant, Lucas made an effort to be present and support his mother. One night, while Clara and Sarah were relaxing in the living room, Lucas joined them. "Mum, I've been doing a lot of thinking," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "I feel terrible about leaving. I should never have left you alone at such a difficult time." Sarah looked at him with eyes full of love and understanding. "Lucas, the important thing is that you're here now. That's all that matters." The arrival of Mario and Lucas in Liverpool brought a mixture of relief and tension to Sarah's house. While Lucas showed genuine concern for his mother, Mario's attitude aroused suspicion in Clara. She carefully observed every interaction, every gesture, and couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't quite right. One afternoon, while Sarah rested in her room after a chemotherapy session, Clara and Mario were in the kitchen. Clara noticed how Mario avoided eye contact and maintained a distant demeanor. "Mario, I'm glad you're back," Clara began, trying to probe his true intentions. "Sarah needs all the support she can get right now." Mario nodded, but his response was evasive. "Yes, of course. We're here to help." Clara decided not to press further, but the unease remained. Later, she approached Sarah, who was sitting in bed, staring out the window. "Sarah, how are you feeling?" she asked with a mixture of concern and affection. "A little tired, but having Lucas here makes me feel better," Sarah replied, smiling weakly. "And Mario?" Clara chose her words carefully. "How do you see it?" Sarah sighed, her expression changing to one of uncertainty. "I'm not sure. He's been distant, but I want to believe he's here for the right reasons." Clara gently squeezed Sarah's hand. "Just be careful. Sometimes people have ulterior motives." Sarah nodded, though in her heart she hoped Mario had truly changed. Clara, for her part, decided to remain alert. Days passed, and although Mario and Lucas seemed to be helping, Clara couldn't help but notice small details that reinforced her suspicions. Mario spent a lot of time in the office, talking on the phone in hushed tones, and Lucas, though genuinely affectionate with his mother, seemed nervous whenever his father was around. One night, while Clara was preparing dinner, she overheard snippets of a conversation between Mario and Lucas that confirmed her worst fears. "Dad, I don't feel good about this," Lucas was saying, his voice trembling. "We need to make sure everything is in order with the will," Mario replied coldly. "It's important that we have access to the funds. We can't leave this to chance." Clara felt a chill run down her spine. She retreated silently to the kitchen, her hands shaking as she tried to remain calm. She knew she had to tell Sarah what she had heard, but she also understood how devastating it would be for her. The next day, Clara found the right time to talk to Sarah. "We need to talk," she said seriously, sitting down next to her cousin on the sofa. Sarah looked at her with concern. "What is it, Clara?" "I overheard a conversation last night between Mario and Lucas. I think they're here for the wrong reasons," Clara said, choosing her words carefully. "Mario mentioned something about the will and the funds." Sarah's face paled. Although a part of her had always feared this possibility, hearing it from Clara made it more real and painful. "I can't believe they're thinking about that while I'm fighting for my life," she murmured, her eyes filling with tears. Clara hugged her, trying to comfort her. "Sarah, I know this is hard, but you need to know the truth so you can protect yourself." Sarah nodded, wiping away her tears. "Thank you, Clara. I don't know what I would do without you." That night, Sarah decided to confront Mario. She found him in the office, looking over some documents. "Mario, we need to talk," she said firmly. Mario looked up, surprised by Sarah's determined tone. "What is it?" "I want to know why you really came back," Sarah said, looking him straight in the eye. "Is it for me, or is it for the money?" Mario hesitated, his expression changing to one of irritation. "Sarah, what are you saying? We're here to help you." "Then why did I hear you talking about the will and the funds with Lucas?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling with emotion. Mario was silent, unable to answer. The truth became clear in that moment, and Sarah felt her heart break. "I can't believe you're so callous," she whispered, taking a step back. "This isn't what it looks like, Sarah," Mario tried to explain, but his tone lacked conviction. "Just stop it, Mario." "I've heard enough," Sarah said, tears streaming down her face. "I want you to leave. I don't need someone who's only thinking about money while I'm fighting for my life." Mario opened his mouth to reply, but stopped when he saw the determination in Sarah's eyes. He knew he had no excuses to offer. Without another word, he got up and left the office. Clara, who had been waiting outside, came in and hugged Sarah. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. But now you know the truth." Sarah nodded, though the pain was still intense. "Thank you for being here, Clara. You're the only one I can trust." With Mario gone from the house, Sarah and Clara focused on what really mattered: Sarah's health and her fight against cancer. Lucas, for his part, stayed, determined to make amends for his mistakes and to show that his love for his mother was genuine. The following days were a whirlwind of emotions and preparations. Clara and Lucas took turns caring for Sarah, making sure she was never alone. Clara prepared meals and helped with medications, while Lucas accompanied her to doctor appointments and tried to keep her spirits up with his constant presence. One afternoon, while Clara was in the kitchen, Lucas sat down next to his mother on the sofa. "Mum, I've been thinking a lot about everything that's happened," he began, his voice full of remorse. "I'm so sorry for leaving you alone. I should never have gone." Sarah looked at him with eyes full of love and understanding. "Lucas, the important thing is that you're here now. We all make mistakes, but what matters is how we learn from them." "I promise I'll never leave you alone again," Lucas said, gently squeezing his mother's hand. "I want to be here for you, every step of the way." Sarah smiled, feeling a deep peace in her heart. "Thank you, son. That means a lot to me." Later, Sarah shared her thoughts about the future with Clara. "Clara, I've been thinking about my last wishes and how I want things to be handled after I'm gone," she said, her voice calm but firm. "I need your help to make sure everything is done the right way." Clara nodded, listening attentively. "Of course, Sarah. Tell me what you need." Sarah explained her plans for her will and how she wanted her assets distributed. "I want a portion of my estate to go to Lucas, so he has a good start in life. The rest, I want to go to you and your children. You've been my rock through all of this, and I want to make sure you're well taken care of." Clara was deeply moved by Sarah's generosity. "I'll do everything I can to fulfill your wishes, Sarah. I promise." The next day, Sarah met with her lawyer to formalize her decisions. "I want to make some changes to my will," she said with determination. "It's important to me that my loved ones are protected." The lawyer, with professionalism and compassion, guided her through the process. Together, they reviewed every detail to ensure that everything was in order. "This document will ensure that your wishes are carried out," the lawyer assured her. "You can rest easy knowing that you have taken the necessary precautions." With her will updated and signed, Sarah felt a great sense of relief. She knew she had done everything possible to ensure the well-being of her loved ones. Now she could focus on spending her remaining time surrounded by love and support. One day, Sarah decided it was time to face Mario one last time. "I want to arrange a final meeting with Mario," she told Clara. "I need to close this chapter of my life." Clara understood and supported her decision. "I'll be here for you, Sarah, no matter what happens." Sarah invited Mario to the house, and when he arrived, the tension in the air was palpable. Sitting in the living room, Sarah began to speak. "Mario, I wanted to see you to say goodbye and to resolve any misunderstandings that still remain between us." Mario looked down, feeling guilt and shame. "Sarah, I'm sorry for everything that's happened. I know I've made mistakes." "We all make mistakes," Sarah replied, her voice calm but firm. "What matters is how we learn from them. I hope you can reflect on your actions and become a better person." Mario nodded, his voice breaking. "I'll try, Sarah. I wish you all the best." Lucas, who had been listening silently, came over and hugged his mother. "Mom, we're here for you, always." Sarah knew she couldn't change the past, but she was hopeful that both Mario and Lucas would learn from their mistakes and grow as people. In the days that followed, the house was filled with moments of love and reflection. Clara and Lucas continued to care for Sarah, making sure that each day was filled with love and support. As Sarah's health deteriorated, so too did her spirit strengthen, knowing that she had done everything possible to leave a legacy of love and care. Finally, on a quiet afternoon, surrounded by her family, Sarah closed her eyes for the last time, knowing that she was at peace. Clara and Lucas, though devastated by the loss, found solace in the fact that they had been there for her until the end, fulfilling their promise to never leave her alone. Sarah's legacy would live on through the love and lessons she left with her family. Clara and Lucas, united by the memory of a strong and loving woman, vowed to honor her memory by living their lives with the same courage and compassion that she had always shown. After Sarah's passing, the house was filled with a reverent silence, imbued with the love and lessons she had left behind. Clara, though deeply saddened by the loss of her cousin, found solace in knowing that she had done everything possible to make Sarah's last days as happy and comfortable as possible. Clara took it upon herself to fulfill Sarah's last wishes. With Lucas by her side, she took care of the necessary legal procedures and ensured that Sarah's will was carried out as she had stipulated. One day, while they were at the lawyer's office, Clara took Lucas's hand. "Your mother was very proud of you," she said, her voice soft but firm. "She wanted you to know that she forgave you and that she always believed in you." Lucas, his eyes filled with tears, nodded. "I know I made mistakes, but I want to do things right from now on. I want to honor her memory." The lawyer explained to them in detail how Sarah's estate would be divided. Lucas would receive a significant portion that would allow him to continue his studies and start a new life. The rest of the estate would go to Clara and her children, as a thank you for their tireless support and love. Sarah wanted to make sure everyone was well taken care of, the lawyer said. This reflects the big heart she had. Once the legal formalities were completed, Clara and Lucas returned to the house, where they began to sort through Sarah's belongings. Every object, every memory, reminded them of the strength and love of the woman who had been the center of their lives. Although the process was painful, it was also a way to heal and to keep Sarah's memory alive. One day, while going through some old photos, Clara found a letter addressed to her. With trembling hands, she opened it and began to read aloud to Lucas. "Dear Clara, if you are reading this, it is because I am no longer physically with you. I want you to know how much you meant to me in these last days. You were my rock, my support, and my comfort. There are no words to express my gratitude for everything you did for me and for Lucas. I leave you a part of my estate not only as a thank you, but as a symbol of our unbreakable bond. Take care of Lucas and your children, and live life with the same courage and love that you have always shown. With all my love, Sarah." Clara felt a mixture of sadness and gratitude as she read her cousin's words. "She always knew how to make us feel loved," she said, wiping away her tears. Lucas, moved, added, "Mum was amazing. She was always thinking of others, even in her final moments." Over time, Clara and Lucas found a new routine. Clara, feeling the responsibility of caring for Lucas, supported him every step of the way. Lucas, for his part, strove to be the man his mother always believed he could be. He finished his studies and started working, determined to live a life that honored Sarah's memory. Clara also found a new purpose. She opened a small business in Liverpool using part of the inheritance that Sarah had left her. The business not only provided her with a livelihood, but it was also a way to keep her cousin's memory alive. Clara decided to name her shop Sarah's Hope, in honor of the strength and hope that Sarah had always represented. One day, while she was at the shop, Lucas arrived with a smile on his face. "I got a job at a design firm," he announced, bursting with pride. "I know Mom would be proud." Clara hugged him, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. "I'm sure she is, Lucas. You're doing a wonderful job." Over the years, Clara and Lucas kept Sarah's memory alive through their actions and decisions. Clara's shop became a landmark in the community, known not only for its quality products, but also for the spirit of love and support that emanated from it. Lucas became a successful designer, always remembering the lessons of courage and compassion his mother had taught him. Mario, after many years, found himself alone and facing a difficult reality. He had lost everything he once considered important: his family, his home, and the stability that money seemed to provide. But now, without those distractions, he began to understand the true lessons that life had been trying to teach him. One day, while walking the streets of Liverpool, his thoughts inevitably turned to Sarah. He remembered their last moments together, his painful goodbye, and the clear disappointment in her eyes when she discovered his true intentions. That memory haunted him, and a sense of deep remorse washed over him. Determined to face the mistakes of his past, Mario headed to the cemetery where Sarah's remains rested. Upon arriving, he stood before her grave, feeling a mixture of pain and release. "Sarah," he began, his voice trembling, "there isn't a day that goes by that I don't regret what I did. I failed you at the moment you needed me most. I'm sorry for not being the husband and father you deserved." Tears began to roll down his cheeks as he continued. "I know I can't change the past, but I promise to learn from my mistakes. I promise to live a life that honors your memory and the lessons you taught me." After spending some time in silence, speaking to Sarah in his heart, Mario stood up with a newfound determination. He knew that the road to redemption would be long and difficult, but he was ready to begin. He decided it was time to rebuild his life from scratch, this time with true values and a deeper understanding of love and family. Mario began by looking for a modest job, something that would allow him to earn an honest living. He found employment at a small local bookstore, where he organized books and assisted customers. The work provided him with a sense of purpose and allowed him to reflect on his life. Over time, Mario began to participate in community activities. He helped out at soup kitchens and collaborated on charity projects. These activities not only gave him a new perspective, but also allowed him to reconnect with the community in a meaningful way. Little by little, he began to earn the respect and admiration of those who knew him. One day, while working at the bookstore, he received an unexpected visit. It was Clara, who had heard about the changes in Mario's life. "Mario," she said with a warm smile, "I've heard you're doing great work here." Mario was overwhelmed with emotion. "Clara, you don't know how much it means to me that you came. I've been trying to make amends for my mistakes and live in a way that honors Sarah." Clara nodded, seeing the sincerity in Mario's eyes. "Sarah would be proud of you, Mario. The important thing is that you're making a genuine effort to change." The conversation with Clara gave Mario a renewed sense of hope. He knew he still had a lot of work to do, but he also understood that he was on the right path. He continued to work hard, keeping in mind the lessons he had learned from Sarah. Meanwhile, Clara and Lucas moved forward with their lives, always remembering Sarah and the teachings she left behind. Clara's shop flourished and Lucas excelled in his design career, always inspired by his mother's courage and compassion. Together, they continued to live with love and empathy, passing those values on to new generations. Mario, in time, became a respected figure in his community. Through his dedication and effort, he proved that it was possible to change and learn from mistakes. He found peace in knowing that he was honoring Sarah's memory in the best way possible. Sarah's legacy lived on in the hearts of those who loved her. Clara, Lucas, and Mario, united by the memory of an extraordinary woman, committed themselves to continue living with the same courage and love that she had always shown. Each, in their own way, found a new purpose and a reason to move forward, carrying with them the precious lessons that Sarah had left them. Sarah's story not only left an indelible mark on their lives, but also inspired all who were fortunate enough to know her. Her legacy of love, courage, and compassion lived on, proving that even though life can be difficult and full of challenges, there is always hope and an opportunity to redeem ourselves and to learn. And so, with a future full of promise and a community strengthened by Sarah's lessons, Clara, Lucas, and Mario continued their lives, always remembering that the true value of life lies in the love and support we give to one another. If you found this story as touching, please like and comment to let us know how you feel. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other meaningful stories.